As we move on to motorsport news now, Ferrari are winners in Formula One as Charles Leclerc won the season-opening Bahrain Grand Prix. Leclerc converted pole position into Ferrari's first victory in 46 Grand Prix, with his teammate Carlos Sainz coming second. Reigning world champion Max Verstappen and Red Bull teammate Sergio Perez retired late with engine issues. Lewis Hamilton came third. For more on this, we're now joined by Formula One journalist Edwin Naidu. Very good evening and welcome to News at Prime and Newzroom Afrika.
Good evening.
Okay, we were anticipating the start of the brand new season because of the dramatic end that we had in Abu Dhabi at the end of last year, and it certainly was gifted to us today, wasn't it?
Well, I think, yeah, no one expected the result. Obviously during the Barcelona testing, Charles Leclerc was fastest, Ferrari did very well, but, we saw that Verstappen and his teammate looked very good in practice and pole, even though they missed out on it. And everyone thought, Red Bull going to come soaring back, and wow, the drama towards the end with the engine problems and the spinning off of Perez. I think it's a good first start to the new era of F1, as they call it.
Speak about this new era of Formula One. The commentators said it a number of times. We know that the cars are incredibly different. Loss of downforce has been a key point in adapting the cars to be able to make it for more exciting racing this season. So can you tell us why we are entering this new era of Formula One?
Well, basically the cars are very different from what we've seen in the past. Firstly, the tires. From a 13-inch, you've got 18-inch tires, which make the cars a lot different, a lot more difficult to drive. It's created this downforce issue. You've seen purposing, cars are bouncing up and down during the race. Hamilton had a lot of that problem. So did a lot of the other drivers. But I think, also the fuel that you use has got to be 10% pure, green fuel. So I think there's a lot more changes. The aerodynamics are different. You're finding that compared to previously, they've changed it. The downforce regulations, etc., are meant to allow overtaking. So you've seen a lot of overtaking in the race itself. So I think, they call it the end of the hybrid era. So this is a new one. So it started off with a bang, I would say. And
it seems as if Ferrari have got the inside lane as to how to adapt best to these changes. Well,
they first won two since Vettel and I think it was Kimi Raikkonen many years ago, long time.
Yeah.
So I think, they've been in the doldrums and everyone is expecting a fight between Hamilton and Verstappen. Ferrari came out of nowhere and I think it makes for an interesting season. I think if Ferrari can keep this up, the Ferrari fans, they're long-suffering. They're like Man United fans. They might be happy again.
Well, let's take a look actually at some of the changes when it comes to Formula One, because as Edwin says here in studio, we are entering a brand new era. Lots of changes to the cars. Let's just take a look quickly at what some of those changes are and how it's going to make for more exciting racing in the 2022 season.
Sidelined in the 1980s, the ground effect in Formula One is making a comeback. This aerodynamic technique involves mastering airflows that are created in tunnels underneath the car, known as Venturi tunnels. The suction effect keeps the car stuck to the ground, giving it greater support. Another change is the modification of the front and back wings of the car and the removal of side deflectors. These had served to deflect the flow of dirty air coming from the previous vehicle, which disturbs the car's aerodynamics. These changes reduce turbulence behind each car and allow drivers to safely enter the airspace left behind by another car and take advantage of the draft to overtake on the next straight. In theory, these changes, along with other technical modifications, should lead to more exciting action on the racetrack, as cars are able to follow and overtake each other more easily.
And we certainly did see that exciting overtaking and also some surprise packages. Kevin Magnussen, a man that was gifted a ride at Haas, and Haas as a team surprising us with the car that they're bringing this season.
Well, I think, last year Haas were so poor. They finished, I think, 12th in one race and scored 0 points. So a lot more was expected because they were developing the car. I think Schumacher, if he had not been banged, in the first lap, he may have done a little better. He would have finished in the points. So definitely Haas, a surprise package. I think you would see more from the Aston Martin team as well. They were poor today, but maybe, Vettel wasn't there. Maybe he would have also had a poor time out. But I think there's adjustment, and I think it's AlphaTauri that also did very well. Bottas finished sixth. And so, the cat is among the pigeons. You're not going to see racing as normal, where it's a given that Hamilton's going to be, on the podium and followed by Verstappen or vice versa. You're going to see a lot more different players. But certainly Ferrari, being up there, I think they've shown that they mean business. 1-2 is an excellent start for them. I think it can only get better, and it's too early to start thinking about the title. There's about 22 races to go, and I think Red Bull will be really left smarting after today, and they want to come back. You could hear the agitation in Verstappen's voice when he had problems with the steering, and of course, a podium place was gone when Perez's car spun off or cut off, engine died. So I think, surprise packages galore this season. Makes for interesting and exciting races. We're not going to have business as usual where Mercedes thumped everyone for the last 8 years or so.
Yeah, and Hamilton and the Mercedes team smiling at the gifting of a podium place, really, because as Toto Wolff said even before the race, we're just not competitive. That is not something you hear from Mercedes.
For 8 years they've been number one as the manufacturer. 7 years, it was 6 years title, F1 title for Hamilton. So they started off. Everyone said they were bluffing because, normally they say this at the beginning of the year that they're not competitive and they come and blitz everyone. So we expected to see Mercedes strong, but during the race they're going to be 5th or 6th. And I think luck has played a huge part in their, fortune over the years, even though they've had the best package. This year it's shown that they don't have the best package so far. They might come back, but I think it's either going to be between Ferrari and Mercedes or Ferrari and Red Bull. You've got to take your pick, but I'm not a betting man, so I can't tell you which one, right?
Yeah, but one would say, well, perhaps it was just the luck of the draw, but to be honest with you, after you saw the way that those Ferraris accelerated ahead after the safety car, after the green flag, it was just incredible, and that's what you really got to appreciate, just how fast these cars are. So safety car came out lap 46 because Pierre Gasly's car was in flames, and then you could see Verstappen getting agitated just behind Leclerc, and finally when the green flag came, Leclerc was away.
I think it seemed effortless, and I think it's been a long time coming. We haven't seen a Ferrari like this, that's excited the fans. People love Ferrari, their brand, racing, the most successful racing team in F1, and for years they haven't cut it. So it's been coming. I think Charles Leclerc is billed as the man who's going to lead them to glory. Today's race, today, on the evidence of what we saw, I think there's exciting times ahead. And obviously they developed the car a lot more better in the last year or so, while not focusing on the car that they had. We were focusing on this season, whereas Mercedes and Red Bull were really fighting each other last year for the title and, putting everything into that. So maybe Ferrari have a jump start on everyone right now.
They've got a jump start. However, you have got a get-out-of-jail-free card. All the teams do, because there are adaptations you can make to your car along the way and along the season. So it's going to be back to the drawing board for Mercedes and for Red Bull. And they've shown us in previous seasons that when their backs are against the wall, their engineers get working.
I agree with you. I think you can't write them off. After one race, you definitely can't celebrate and think Ferrari is going to win the F1 title, or Charles Leclerc is going to, do it. But I think, like you said, when Mercedes and Red Bull have their backs to the wall, they come back. I think Mercedes showed today by finishing on the podium. They didn't expect to do that, but they can be there. And that's a sort of luck that gets you to win titles. And they've won titles, and they know how to win. And I think they're going to push Ferrari all the way, regardless.
Edwin, what are the rules around changing your car through the season?
Well, you have upgrades that are allowed. And I think you saw that, when Red Bull first launched, they said that this is not the finished product, it was just PR. And then when they had the second upgrade, I think that was about a week ago before testing closed, on that day, on the last day of testing, with the new upgrades that they had to the car, they actually blitzed everyone and finished first and second in the tests, respectively. So during the season, as the season goes, they're allowed different sorts of packages that they can do. I think it's obviously testing. They're in a phase where they don't know what's working too well. They're going to have ups and downs like Mercedes are showing. You know, they're going to come back even stronger to make sure that the whole aerodynamic package works, especially the purposing that happens that, you know, that's affecting them at the moment, preventing them from really being strong. So I think once they figure out how to get rid of that, but, you know, Mercedes had the most innovative car with the side pods and stuff. People were complaining about it, saying it's illegal, but it was creative, very creative, and I think it might work better in the long run for them. So I think they're a work in progress. They will have the upgrades. Red Bull expected a lot more today. I think they'd be very disappointed. And I think, you know, after all the hype, and it was, you know, Verstappen can't be sleeping well tonight. He must be waiting for the next race to say, let's put this bad experience to bed. But, you know, I think it's going to be touch and go to see whether they can do it, because when you win and you come second, Ferrari will be saying, this is the momentum we wanted for years, let's keep it.
Yeah.
So.
I know that we can't read too much into the very first race of the season, although it is a nice indicator. What do you make of the partnership between Hamilton and his brand new teammate, George Russell?
I think there's a good amount of respect. You know, Russell definitely wants to learn from him. Right now, you can't really read too much into it because they both got a car that they were struggling with. And I think once the car is working at optimum level, you're going to see that Russell might be faster in some races. Hamilton would be faster. So he's the young gun, you know, wanting to knock Hamilton off his perch. And I think Hamilton's got a lot more that he wants to achieve. He wants that 8th title that will put him in the pantheon of greats, you know, the greatest, you know, I would say. And Russell, definitely, it's his chance to stake his claim. I just hope he's a lot more, you know, fired up to race rather than be a compliant racer like Bottas, who's going to always give way to Hamilton. Well, that was team orders. Yeah. But I think, you know, it would be good to see a fight between two teammates, you know, wanting to be better than each other. But whether they allow it at Mercedes is another thing.
Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo, they were in a very competitive car last year, and it does not seem as if that's going to be the case in 2022.
I think early days, because they also had a very good testing season. They were talking up their chances. Norris particularly said he wants to give Verstappen and Hamilton a run for their money. But what we saw today was really disappointing. And I think Ricciardo won the Russian Grand Prix last year, and there was another race that Norris almost won, and he spun out in the rain. Yeah. So you know, McLaren they're on the up, and I think maybe it's first race blues. Maybe they will find what went wrong and come back. I expected them in the top 10 easily. Sure. I was glad to see Haas there at AlphaTauri, because you want to see different teams come in. You want to see the smaller teams actually score points and make it interesting. So I think they would be disappointed at McLaren, but they'd come back too. But I can't see them challenging Ferrari, Red Bull and Mercedes just yet.
Yeah. I suppose if you've spent a whole year not focusing on your current season as Ferrari did last year, and all you were focusing on was your car, you've got a lot of catch-up work as Red Bull and Mercedes and McLaren.
Well, I think I would think they have been working on it as well, but maybe they took their eye off the ball a little. And Red Bull are in a different phase. They've just launched their own powertrain engine to supply, you know, to sort out the engine which they previously got from Honda. So they also poached a lot of key staff members from Mercedes. So Mercedes would be struggling to, you know, fill the vacuum there, and Red Bull may be adjusting to their new, you know, drive as a engine producer. So I think those things have taken their eye off the ball a little. McLaren, because no one really expected them to really, you know, be up there just yet, except themselves. You know, I think they might come back and surprise, but maybe in 1 or 2 races where the car would be suited to the tracks, I think.
How have Haas gone about kind of having a result like this to begin the 2022 season?
Well, I think maybe the investment they made in last season, which was scoring 0 points and not investing any money in the 2021 car, and deciding to actually work on the 2022 car. And I think in testing, in the final testing, Schumacher was actually second to Verstappen on the last day. On the second last day, Magnussen was also, I think he was the fastest at one point. So the Haas have done something well and something right. So I think this result augurs well for them. I think you might see better days for them. I mean, no one wants to race in Formula One and score 0 points as they did last year. It was very pathetic, given the amounts of money that's invested in F1. And I think it's a good start for them. I hope they score more points. I like to see Schumacher do a bit better. You know, when you're following in the greatness of your father, I think obviously that's a big impediment to him right now. Maybe, you know, scoring points will help, and maybe just it's a feel-good story given what's happened to Michael Schumacher as well. Yeah. So, but maybe he'll get there this year. I think the signs look good.
Your world champion for 2022?
My crystal ball has been a bit unreliable, but I think I'm going to still stick with Verstappen coming good and, you know, showing that what he achieved last year. You know, everyone talks about Abu Dhabi, what happened there, but he actually won 10 races. He had the most poles, and I think he led the most laps. So I would think, you know, he wants to show that he's not a one-hit wonder, and I think Hamilton will chase him too, but if Mercedes don't fix their car in the next 3 or 4 races, I think he can catch up with Leclerc and, you know, build up a lead. That's what I think.
All right, Edwin.